Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Word on Sports. Happy Valentine's Day to you, if in fact it is Valentine's Day that you're watching this. If you're watching this on any day other than when it was posted, happy Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For those of you that it is Valentine's Day, hope you're sharing the love with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe your friends, your partner, or even if it's just with yourself, because self-love is also very important. Valentine's Day is all about love and sharing that love, so be sure to share that love in however way that you can. But now talk sports, we're talking baseball. That's why we have this get up here. We have some rule changes to talk about and a new playoff proposal we're going to fly through. It's going to be quick. Here we go. Bing, bang, boom. Let's talk baseball. First rule change being implemented this season is that the rosters are increasing from 25 to 26 with a max of 13 pitchers and a 28-man roster instead of 40 for September. This is a beautiful combination of the rules. 25 to 26 allows teams a little bit more flexibility to have another man off the bench, especially in the case of injury and especially for the National League, who constantly has to pinch hit for their pitchers, gives them the option of bringing in more bats without hindering their chances later in the game. Maximum of 13 pitchers is always smart because nobody really enjoys seeing pitcher after pitcher after pitcher come from the bullpen. And then a 28-man roster, thank goodness, because 40 is far too many, especially from somebody who has worked in a major league clubhouse. That is just the absolute worst when teams actually maximize that 40-man roster, plus all their trainers and staff and coaches. It's just a lot of people. There's not a lot of space in the clubhouse. There's only so many, especially on the visitor side. Like, come on. From a fan perspective of, oh, you're not giving these minor league guys a chance, that limits the number of opportunities they can throw against big league hitters or hit against big league pitchers. Well, all right, fans, how many guys can you actually name in your farm system that you're truly excited to see what they can do in September? Because for a lot of you, it's probably 1 to 4 players at most. The impactful players had a chance all season long to prove that they can do it. Eliminating those few guys that were right on the cusp because of a smaller roster isn't going to be a make or break. They'll have next spring training to make their way into the big leagues. If they weren't good enough to do it for the full season, it's probably not going to be their time to do it now. The building process, the experience that they get, it's not going to be that deadly or that detrimental just because they weren't the 29th man on a roster. Only pitchers and two-way players may pitch unless the game goes into extra innings or a team is winning or losing by 6+ runs. This rule isn't really that huge of a deal because most of the time teams don't put position players in unless they are losing by 6 runs anyway. 6+ runs, it's a blowout game, so they've given up anyway. And if it goes into extra innings where it could start to matter because you've thrown all your bullpen arms, that rule doesn't apply anyway. Now, the two-way player rule is interesting because teams cannot say that a pitcher is just a two-way player. That way they can then add more pitchers to their staff. It's a nice way. They were smart this time. They thought about it. The two-way player is a player who has 20 innings pitched and at least 20 games starting at a position or the DH with 3 at-bats or more in each of those games. So you can't just say, oh, my pitcher, who clearly is a pitcher, is actually a two-way player because he gets a start here or there. Okay, if he really does, prove it. Let's see it. Let's see it for an extended amount of time, and then we can mark him as a two-way player, which means you could designate him as a hitter and then bring up another pitcher. So there is a way around that 13-pitcher maximum technically, but it is really a strong case-by-case thing. Players like Shohei Ohtani, for example, he is a perfect example of a two-way player, and that's he's like one of the main reasons why the rule was probably implemented, but he's also like the only true guy who is a two-way player. Overall, just a kind of like a safety thing so teams don't cheat the system and add a bunch of pitchers, and it works out overall. I think it's a good specification list. 27th player rule will replace the 26th player rule. This really isn't much of a rule. It just is kind of an obvious thing that they had to do when they increased the roster from 25 to 26. That means the 26-player rule, which allows you to add a 26-man to the roster in case of a doubleheader or other special circumstances, now becomes the 27th-player rule. It's kind of basically a no-brainer rule that had to be implemented because of the increased roster size. 3-batter minimum. All pitchers must pitch to minimum of 3 batters or end of half inning. This is a big one and overall a rule that I have come around on to like and approve of. We're not going to have 6 pitchers now pitching in 1 inning. If we do, that means it's a blowout game probably. This changes the way teams are built. You can't just have lefty specialists all the times. Pitchers are going to have to be able to get both players out, righties and lefties. And you know what? They've been doing that their whole baseball career. In high school and in college, They may have become lefty specialists as they've gotten older, but overall, you used to pitch to everybody. You used to pitch to righties, you used to pitch to lefties. A lot of great bullpen guys used to be starters back in high school where they obviously had to face both lefties and righties. So if you could do it in the past, you can figure out how to do it again. Sorry, not sorry that you aren't just going to be showing up for one batter every other game or one batter every game because, hey, you lost that job now because you're going to have to face at least 3 batters. I like it because I think there's actually going to be more strategy involved now because instead of just bringing in the lefty to face the lefty and bringing in the righty to face the righty, you have to plan ahead. Bring in the lefty to face one really strong lefty, but then 2 really good righties behind, or you trust the right-handed pitcher to go in and get that lefty out. It's going to be creating a lot more interesting scenarios, and for all of you fans who love offense, it's going to allow the big hitters to get more big hits and the big lefties to have a chance to actually face some righties in clutch situations. So hey, more offense and more runs. And then the last 2 on the list, the injured list and option period for pitchers. The minimum days on the IL is increased to 15 from 10, and the option period for pitchers is extended to 15 days as well. The reduction in the challenge time, it goes from 30 seconds to managers now having 20 seconds to decide if they want to challenge a play. These are both fairly minor rules. I don't think the reduction in challenge time is really going to make a difference because umpires have allowed way more than 30 seconds in the past to allow managers to challenge a call. So it'll really be kind of be an umpire to umpire basis. I do like increasing it to 15 days for a couple reasons. You want to put them on a 15-day IL and potentially miss a lot of games when really you could have just gone with 25 men on your roster and 1 injured player for a couple of games and been okay, or you're going to put them on that long list. For pitchers, it now means that they're going to miss 3 starts most of the time as opposed to 2, more time on the IL. For pitchers, that means you're going to have to be smarter with how you utilize them and playing the drop a guy to the farm system, bring a guy from the farm system back and forth, etc. Overall, I like these rule changes. The MLB always institutes new rules here or there every single year. All sports do it. The NBA has done it with the shot clock this past year. The NFL has been doing it a lot in recent years, so it's not anything new. None of these rules are terribly crazy. I like the increased rosters and the 3-batter minimum the most. I think that's a brand new strategy, and I, for one, have been tired of watching 1 batter, bullpen change, 1 batter, pitching change, 1 batter, pitching change. It, for me, has already been too much, and I'm a guy who's more of a traditionalist when it comes to baseball. I love a pitching matchup. I love the strategy. This brings a whole new element of strategy. So the strategy's not gone. The creativeness isn't gone. It's just in a new way, and that's what I like the most about it. And now for the hot topic of baseball this past week, which is the MLB's new playoff proposal. If you don't know what it is, this is the gist of it. 7 teams are going to make it from each league instead of 5, with the top division winner, the best record, gets a first-round bye. Now, the 2 division winners and the best wildcard team will host a 3-game series against opponents of their choosing. So the top record after the best record overall will get to pick the team that they want to play, followed by the 3rd division winner, and then the 2 remaining wildcard teams will face off against each other. This will be broadcasted live on TV for everyone to see, and so everyone will know who is picking what teams. First of all, for me, just picking teams is too gimmicky, and nobody else does that in sports. You don't pick your opponent, you're giving your opponent. Let's keep it that way. The beauty about the MLB season is that it's 162 games, which means that you have to be one of the best teams in order to win the championship. It's going to be one of the best in order to win. In the NBA, if you're a 5th through 8th seed, you probably aren't going to win it. Actually, if you're a 1 or 2 seed, you're probably only going to win it. Same thing in the NFL. The 6th seed making it to the AFC Championship game, let alone the Super Bowl, is very rare. In the NHL, and people argue with this for the MLB, you can win if you make it to the playoffs. But that's not that great. In a 162-game season, that means if you just barely squeak in, then you have a chance. All right, but if you only have 5 teams making it like they currently do, that means if you squeak in, you're still one of the best teams in the league. Increasing it to 7 means that a team could take a month off and still be okay. They could say, hey, if we win only 7 games this month, it's fine because as long as we have like 85 wins, we have a chance to make the playoffs and then win a World Series. Well, that's not great. You want the 100-plus win Yankees to lose in a 3-game series to some scrub team that had 85 wins and really doesn't deserve to be there? No, you want the best teams to make it. So I like the fact that the MLB is different. You can't just get hot, despite what the Nationals did last season. You can't just get hot and make it to the World Series and win it all. You have to be one of the best, and it doesn't say it's okay to be mediocre. You have to be one of the best. I understand the positive sides of teams won't tank because they have a chance at the playoffs, but also it allows GMs maybe to save their money to say, hey, if we're a mediocre team that can just make the playoffs, we'll be okay. So I'm not going to spend my money. I'm not going to make these trades because we still have a chance. And that's not fun. You want the big market moves. You want the best of the best in the playoffs. That's really what it comes down to. And for those arguing that it's a marketing thing, that you want to get fans interested, listen, adding a bunch of changes and things like that isn't going to get the outside fans interested. If anything, you're going to look at it and say, wow, why is baseball trying to change so many things? Why are they looking to make so many changes? They must be a crappy product. And look at this guy who's in charge, this Rob Manfred guy. He keeps saying that attendance is low and ratings suck and baseball is going in the wrong direction. Well, I don't want to jump on a burning ship. I'm going to stay over here. I'm fine. I don't want to come join. Seeing a bunch of rule changes to try and change the fans' interest is not the way to do it. Best way to get people interested in baseball, especially the young culture, since that's what the big target audience is right now for the MLB, is to try to get that younger audience involved. Tell them to go play baseball. Try to promote them playing baseball. Try to promote them getting outside and going and learning to love the game the way that I did growing up. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love this game, is because I've played it so much and put my heart into it and found joy growing up. Some of my best memories are from playing baseball. That's one big way to get the audience to like it. Then the second one is to jump into the 21st century. Put this content on social media. That's the biggest thing. You hear it over and over, but it is true. They say it a lot because it's true. Market these great big players. When Trout hits a home run, blast it all over social media. Make crazy GIFs and memes and whatever else about it. Utilize social media that way. You don't need to do a bunch of gimmicks. You don't need to change the way that the game is played. These other leagues have not changed the way the game's played. They just adjust things a little bit. They've added a few things here and there, but they're not completely changing these things with new ideas that a lot of the players don't like, let alone a lot of the fans. It's good to have changes. It's good to adapt, because if you don't adapt, you die. But in this case, this specific playoff proposal is not right. My playoff proposal, only the one change. Keep the 5 teams. I think it's great. I love the wild card game, but make that a best of 3 game series. It won't extend the playoffs any longer because the last game of the season is on a Sunday. Then, like, if we look at last year, for example, it was a Sunday. The Nats had a day off Monday. They played Tuesday, day off Wednesday, played Thursday. So that means you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, boom. Look at that. Perfect time for a 3-game series, and then you can start up. At the worst, it pushes back the rest of the playoffs by 1 day, and that's not a big deal. Be confident with your product, MLB, and then just enter the 21st century. So there you have it, all my thoughts and opinions about these rule changes. Here we go into the 2020 season. Baseball is back. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want more episodes, they're going to be coming anyway, regardless of what you think. But I do appreciate the love, so be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Leave some likes, some comments, and share with your friends. Let's talk sports. Love to talk with you guys about sports. Phillies baseball and the baseball season is coming up, so I'm going to be having previews and predictions for the entire league. We're going to be talking a lot of baseball this year, and we're going to have some guests coming up in the future weeks. So hope you enjoy this episode. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.